like, you've seen when someone hold a chicken and you move the head? Exactly the same point. Houston, you're okay, silly boy. Houston, you're okay. So he looked at me just now again twice, right? So I'm just going to go look over at you guys to let him know that he's safe, right? So there you go. You can move forward towards him. Absolutely. Just stay still. There you go. Houston, you're okay.
Houston, you're okay.
Just keep your hand on the outside of him with your right hand. Use your right hand on the outside. There you go. Just keep it still. Houston, you're okay. And just look at me and say, Houston, you're okay.
Houston, you're okay.
Look at me and say, Houston, you're okay.
Houston, you're okay.
Okay, and just slow it down so you actually can have your words heard. So, Houston, you're okay.
Houston, you're okay.
So don't pause and say, Houston, you're okay, because you're making two sentences, and cognitively and comprehensively, he's going to be not hearing a full word. He's going to hear two different sentences. Houston, you're okay, silly boy. So he's not looking at you as much now. Houston, you're okay. Come see you, just touch it on the outside there, and just keep it still. So all he's doing is he's coming back to you to make sure everything's okay. He's sitting down because he doesn't know how to process. So when dogs sit down, they're dysfunctional because they don't know how to process the complex emotions, so they shut down. People who are teaching dogs to sit and all that stuff are literally shutting their dog down. It's like you saying something to Phil, going, you're up in your bedroom, you hear the noise in the middle of the night, you say, Phil, I hear something, and he just ignores you. So the same structure. Just keep your hand still, don't keep moving it around because it shows you're nervous. Right? Or if you're standing with someone, they're like fidgety, you're gonna be like, dude.
Yeah.
Right? So if you keep your hand, he's right. So you don't want to look at an objectification of him, you want to actually touch him.
Yeah.
Just keep your hand on him. There you go. And just put it on his rib cage.
Hi, buddy.
And don't move your hand. Right, so the dogs have a hypersensitivity and flinch response. So the licking in the face and all that stuff is an immature behavior as well. So again, it goes back to what I said about his emotional immaturity, his inability to process because of the complexity of the envelope. So look at me and say, Houston, you're okay.
Houston, you're okay.
You see how he kind of went off, almost away, because he didn't know what else to do. He was doing eye contact. He's going to look at you. Watch. Houston, you're okay, silly boy. Hi, silly boy. Houston, you're okay. So I look over at Phil. Houston, you're okay. To Chrissy, Houston, you're okay. To, what's your cat's name?
Tilly.
Tilly, you're okay.
Tilly, you're okay.
Tilly, you're okay. So
Tilly's tail's like...
Tail behavior is actually cognitive, analytical structure and all that stuff. So when people are talking about dogs, tails, behaviors and all that stuff, they don't understand. And we can see he's been trained in all these kinds of things of behavior here, right? See these aspects. He doesn't know how to process. So he's only going to follow through what he is accustomed to from what he's taught, which means that he has a very limited comprehension of his environment. Right? He does not have a maturity to understand what's going on.
You're okay.
Just keep your hands still. Stop moving it around, please. Just keep it still. Just keep it still. When you keep moving it around, you're saying, I have no idea. You've got hypersensitivity and flinch response and all that stuff. And you're going, I'm freaking out. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to tell you to be calm, but I'm telling you physically that I'm nervous like heck.
Right.
Okay, so if you keep your hands still, right? Because people are very insecure. Humans are very, very insecure. Like, oh, I can't just hold on like this. You know when you start dating Phil and he held your hand? And a few times you'd be like, oh, moving it around. You're like, dude, just don't, I love you already. Just stop trying to prove it.
Yeah.
The same aspect. And the same thing is when you go see a movie and Phil holds your hand, he does this, right? Every woman hates this.
I love it.
I love
do?
it.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay, so generally, the majority of women, and my own personal experience as well, and when I've had
Hey,
these
my boy.
sessions, women are always like,
my
stop doing
boy.
that, because I cannot concentrate on the movie. If you're paying attention
Yeah.
to a movie, and someone's doing
that's
that,
true.
you cannot pay attention. So that's a situation.
Hi.
So we won't understand. Just keep your hand still and keep your hand open. If you keep your hand open, then you understand that there's nothing there other than just a natural, normal behavior. Hi, silly boy. Houston, you're okay. So just touch the side of him. You see how he's a little bit tender? On the right hand, say his name.
Houston, you're okay.
And look at me and say it. So
Houston,
you notice
you're
how he kind of
okay.
flinched his head pretty quickly when you came towards him, just before you're about to touch him. So the processing aspect is how dogs process in their field of vision. Right? You see the back right leg is a little bit shaky on his end
Yeah.
as well. And we can see he also has a physical a discoordination in his back end as well. Don't. Okay. So
I was trying to move my hand up.
just for the session, just for the session, keep your hand consistent. If you, because if you can't do it, then maybe Phil can do it or whatever. It's okay.
You wanna
But
switch
he's
to it?
moving forward, so how do you... I guess you're just... Right, is Misty, is that what you're saying? Like he's
Yeah,
kind of moving,
he
so
was
it's
moving
hard.
forward, so I moved my hand forward.
Yeah.
Switch. My back can't do that.
Yeah, I can see that. Houston, you're okay, silly boy. So then whenever I
Houston,
communicate
you're
with
okay.
him, whenever I communicate with anybody,
You're
a
okay.
dog or whoever, I don't snap my fingers, no offense, Phil. I don't
Yep.
snap my fingers, I don't call the dog it or anything like that. I create an emotional enfranchisement. When I start to do things like that, for example, this does not occur. This, right, you know, the snapping does not occur anywhere as a communication aspect within the canine species or pretty much any species. So we're using disingenuous things going, okay, I'm gonna get your attention by creating a superficial relationship. But if you just say, Phil,
Yeah.
Misty, Christy, girl,
Rory.
Houston. Oh no, not it's girl. Houston. Then he goes, that's me. But we go and do other aspects, right? Like if you were a waiter and someone went after you, like, dude, right?
So when you said don't, Houston, you're okay, you're looking at you, not
Yeah.
the dog.
I don't need to look at him because he can hear me.
Okay. So it's nothing to do.
And physical behavior is omnidirectional. Houston, you're okay, silly boy. You're okay. Houston, you see how he's always looking at my left hand for food, right? So we look at it as a superficial materialist relationship. The other part too, you saw that harder blink when he just looked over at me like that. It's a faster, quicker blink. That is a cognitive analysis of what's going on. I'm purposely talking differently. I'm purposely making sure that I understand the reverberations within, like the acoustics within your home as well. So I'm making sure that he understands what's going on. I'm kind of mushing my words a bit on purpose for him so he can hear the tonal aspect of it. When you say a word, when you say Houston, you're okay, it has to be all at once, like you're singing it. Like a diphthong or a draw. Diphthong, D-I-P-T-H-O-N-G. So it's got to be a consistent one word. Because we look at language, it's all one word, right? So
you're
there you
okay,
go.
Houston.
Right? Phil's gonna get it because Phil was watching and he let Missy take the brunt of my corrections. So that's all. When he comes to anybody here, see how he's trying to touch mom right there with his back left foot. He knows exactly where everything is. So all he does whenever you see him near you, like this, right? If I'm standing here, like, dude, he's kind of close to my hand. Houston, you're okay. Houston, and just touch him. Say Houston, and look at me and say it.
Houston, you're okay.
Don't move your hand, and say it slower.
Houston, you're okay.
How do you calm someone down?
Houston, you're okay.
Right? If you have, we all got buddies who are like, oh, dude, just calm down. And what do? You're okay, man. Just calm down.
Yeah.
So touch your right hand side, left hand side of his body.
Left.
Yeah. With your right hand. Yeah, there you go. So what you're doing is you're creating for him a protection. Right? Because you don't have to squat down. It's okay.
I need to with my back.
You can stay standing. So that means just push what you can do is, right? So if he's right here, so this is Houston, you put your knee against him and touch him on the outside like that.
So are you crossing over his body?
Yeah, so for him, it's to provide him protection that he's been protected.
Oh, so you're bringing him towards you, basically. Yes. So you're crossing over, not the same side.
And he doesn't know what to do, so he shuts down. I know you're talking about him in the kennel. It's not normal for dogs to live in constricted areas.
We don't.
No, but you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, when he goes into things like that, I know the door's open, you said it on the phone, he doesn't know how to deal with the rest of the social aspect. He does not feel like he's part of the family. It's like the foster kid that goes...
Yeah.
And hangs off by himself. So we look at the human analogy of that because it's corresponding diluted scale relative to biological construction of the abstraction of consciousness, like I was saying on the phone.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's got to be able to understand I'm part of the group. The best way, hi Phil, hi Misty. Like I said on the phone, hey man, how's it going? Hi Misty, right? He'd be like, I'm just gonna punch the guy next time I see him in the face.
Yeah.
Because he treats me like I don't belong with the family.
Yeah.
So when we talk in our normal voice, like I said about prey and play drive and predation, when we bring that tone up, what sound does an animal make? Right?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if Phil stubs his toe in the middle of the night, he's not going, he's going, ah, right? Constriction, physiological constriction within the voice. Physiological restriction within the body, right? So then we can hear the tension.
Yeah.
We can watch two people like it's on the phone, right? We can watch two people eating at dinner, and we know if they're having a good dinner or they're not having a good dinner, right? Yeah. And we even make up voices for them and then plot, right? Houston, you're okay, silly boy. So I now create a fluctuation and inflection points for the tone. And you see that hard blink, or you didn't see that, Chrissy? You can see the hard blink that Houston had at the time. Houston, you're okay. You're okay. So he heard a noise. Typically, he would not care at all, right? You saw him looking at it because of everything else that's happening. The other part here is I'm staying on purpose here, and I'm doing that, I don't know. You know the rule when you climb up a ladder, you have to have 3 points on, right? Or else, so if you see how I'm doing it, initially when he came in, I had one hand moving, 2 hands moving, 3 appendages, so it allows Houston to understand that he can trust my behavior is not crazy. Because when people come into the home, right? And he's just like, oh my God.
I've got a friend that comes at him and goes, hey, how you doing? And he just loves
Houston,
them.
you're okay. Just touch him quickly. Touch the side of him and say, Houston, you're okay. Yeah. And look at me. Just look at me.
Houston, you're okay.
That's it. And slow it down. Right? So you can hear it, right, Phil? You can hear it if it's too fast.
Houston, you're okay.
Excellent, right? Just like when you tell your nameless daughter,
Rory.
I was just gonna say, right?
Houston, you're
just,
okay.
Just the same thing, like when she was a baby and she came into your bedroom because of thunder and lightning. You did that, right? You went,
when she was
Rory,
a baby.
Well, a child.
She still doesn't.
Right?
You're okay.
You're still doing
exactly, right?
You're okay.
And we have to say you are okay because then we have an emotional franchisement. If we don't, and we say it's okay, we create a non-emotional attachment, which is no different, right? Like, okay, I know you guys are happily married and stuff, but remember when you're going out with somebody?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, my girlfriend Susan, she's awesome, and then the minute you break up, like the ex, right?
Yeah.
We disenfranchise. So when we use our dog's name, because it's a familial construct, he understands. I'm living with apex predators. I'm living in a place that I cannot
Houston, you're
open the
okay.
door. I cannot even feed myself. Like I said on the phone, if you're late, he's going, oh my gosh, you're amazing. So we want him to understand that we are there for him 100%. And even if we're there only 99.9%, right? Have you ever relied on somebody here and then they let you down that once? You're like,
Never
dude,
again. You're over.
you would never lend, okay, say for example, you lent someone $20, right? And then, for lunch, and then a week later, doesn't pay you back, right? 3 weeks later, you know she got paid, still doesn't pay you back. Houston, you're okay, Houston. Houston, you're okay. So he looks at Chris, he looks at everybody here, right? You're okay. And so Fred doesn't pay you back, a month later doesn't pay you back, 6 months, right? Skiing,
Yeah.
Whistler.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, where's my money? And he pays you back after he comes back. When are you gonna ever lend him $20 again?
Yeah.
Never. Never.
What shit do you have in your pocket?
See, Phil's engaged here because he's like, I'm going to work on it, help use it. And
I'm hearing it too, but I get overload sometimes.
I know, and Phil said that on the phone that it's easier for him to understand than me. And I
Yeah.
do talk very quickly because there's a lot of information. And since it's recording, you go, what the heck did he say, right?
Yeah.
So Houston, you're okay. So double blink there, right? So even whenever he's there and he's laying there by himself, literally, right? So if he's over here, say this is his kennel, right? I would just go over there and go, and just touch him. Either say something or not. It doesn't matter. But if I do say something, it's always going to be his name, Houston. Or Houston, you're okay. He goes, wow, right? How many times again, not trying to put pressure on Phil, how many times has
Houston,
Phil
you're
sent
okay.
you a message in the middle of the day going, I'm thinking of you, hon, right? You're like, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, what was that? Well, what did you do? No, but it's like, oh my gosh, what a
Houston,
nice
you're
thing.
okay.
So this is the same
Houston, you're
point
okay.
of
Are
endearment.
you touching him at the same time or not
Yeah, just
necessarily?
put on his chest and don't move it at all.
You're okay.
And then when he flips over and lifts up his leg and all that stuff, two things have happened. One is because of the puppyhood, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the second thing is he then learns, oh, if I do that, I got this, even though it wasn't the type of attention he wants. And he's like, oh, well, that's more than I can get, and that's the only way I can articulate with you,
Okay.
right? Because dogs are born predators, humans are born predators. We are bigger than him. Phil is definitely bigger than
Houston,
him.
you're okay.
Right, taller than me for sure. Right, if I'm walking with Phil down the street and we're at a sketch area, I'm gonna be like, dude, he's got my back for sure, right? And if I get beat up and Phil just stands there
Hi, Hugh. Hi,
because I'm
Houston.
afraid of what's going
Come
on,
on,
if
boy.
Phil just stands there, I will never trust Phil again. Just like the $20.
Houston.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Phil.
Houston,
You know,
you're
I'm
okay.
always watching that.
So, question for you. Would you recommend them not having the crate for him and just the bed?
Well, you know, I'll be
Or-
honest with you, being a Chinese guy, crate's great because you can cram a bunch of stuff to store in it
Oh.
or to put to sleep in it. I would take it right out because then he is always disenfranchising himself. He's marginalizing himself.
He sleeps
Why-
on
why-
our bed.
Well, he does sleep
Beautiful.
in there from time to time. When he just comes downstairs or something, he'll go to sleep. Why we had the crate here is the first time we
Houston,
ever
you're
left him
okay.
home alone for like
I
10
know.
minutes. He destroyed our blinds.
Oh my god, it was so
I've been there,
bad.
man.
So, but we've actually figured it out. If we just open the blinds all the way so he can see outside,
He's
then
fine.
he was okay.
Wow.
So that made a huge difference in him.
I know Misty's like, what the heck? I'm like, oh gosh.
But you know the cool thing of how Phil is talking about it. There's no animosity or anger or upset. You're like,
Aw, so
you don't-
nice.
Yeah.
Fred,
I
you have a
know.
sister. Anyway, so
Yeah.
you know, so you see how nice you see how nice and generous Phil is because when he's talking about things, when someone does something bad, he's not like going. "Ugh." He's like, it's okay.
Yeah,
I
Phil's
understand."
awesome that way.
And that's the tone and language and love that we want to convey to Houston.
Houston.
And so,
Hi.
does Houston let you give him a full hug? And I was talking about the
Yeah.
reset. Okay, so what's going to happen is, Phil. So if Houston's here, his head's here, and his bum is here, I'll put his throat into the crook of my elbow. His head's
Yeah.
right here. My hand will be like kind of that. My right hand will be a football hug, just like we did outside here, right?
Yeah.
It'll go up and underneath his stomach by his heart. So then you feel his heart rhythm, his respiratory pattern, and his physical gait structure. Just like, you know, when Phil's squeezing your hand too tight, like, honey, you're right? Like I said on the phone.
He doesn't dare.
Poor guy.
But, okay, that would explain why when I come home, he's so much calmer. Is because I kind of do that with him.
Instead
Exactly.
of me trying to push him away from jumping on me.
Yes.
Actually, he doesn't jump on me since I started doing what he's
Squatting down.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have to sit on the
She sits on
stairs.
stairs.
'cause
Same,
my
same with
back-
me, trust
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
The only way I can squat is if I'm squatting like a Vietnamese fisherman, right? So, so I can say that, sorry. So the same thing is...
I have no idea what you said, so you can say it no matter
Thank goodness, Phil heard
what
only.
you want.
So the head is this way, the body's that way, and you hold it still. You don't move your fingers. You keep your hands and fingers together. When your fingers are together, less to concentrate on. If your finger's this wide, he's got 4 points to concentrate on. That's why I was saying,
Okay.
right? If you do it right, so you have one hand, he goes, oh good, I don't have to, but why did you open your hand? What's going on? Why, what did you move? Right? If he puts his foot on your foot,
You're okay.
just keep your foot there, move everything else, and let
Yeah.
him take it off himself. Because
Like,
he goes,
come out.
he goes literally, sorry, I don't want to,
No,
he's literally going, don't leave me. I'm holding on to you. I'm scared, and if you leave, I'll be able to feel it because I don't have to look back. Which is like the movie Platoon.
Yeah.
You saw Platoon? You remember when
Yeah.
Junior does? Okay, thank you. You're one of the few people in the movie.
I'm
Okay,
a boy.
you know, the guy just sitting back. 'Cause if he
So like, is
dies,
that Misty
he
doing
dies.
that right now?
Misty,
Yeah,
just hold.
just keep it still. Just relax. Just let him go.
I like that.
Okay, let him stand up. Don't let him sit down. Because you want him to be on all fours.
Oh, okay.
Right, when you see two dogs about to attack each other, one doesn't sit down. When you see one,
Houston, where you going?
Houston, you're
Okay.
okay.
You're
So,
okay.
so he's
Come here.
being, yeah, that's
Come
right.
Good
At
boy.
one point, because he knows where he is.
Yeah.
Proximity wise, you know how, like I was saying on the phone about the recall
Come.
command, right? If he's only 6 feet away, right? If Phil says to me,
Tilly's like, I'll
Tilly's
come.
like, I'll come. There's he
Tilly,
comes.
you're okay, Tilly. So just he wants, yeah, there you go, and just say, give me a hug, and calmly say it, and then look at me and say, Houston, you're okay,
Houston, you're okay.
to me,
Yeah. Houston, you're okay.
and then to the left.
Houston,
So
you're
now what you're doing is, I'm sweeping like your security guard, your secret agent, or whatever they call them, right? I'm watching around you, even at home.
So you're letting him know you're watching out for you by saying that,
Because I'm the
basically.
apex predator. I'm
Right.
bigger than him. Even nameless Rory
Yeah.
knows.
Nameless
right? Rory's still bigger than him, right?
Yeah.
So he's going, you're supposed to protect me.
I'm a boy.
Because you feed me, you give me food, you open the doors, you do absolutely everything. You touch me, make me feel safe and soft and everything.
Hi.
You should continue to protect me because you should be
So
able
like
to tell
this?
I'm
This-
scared. How many times has Misty said, can you not tell I'm upset with you, right? Like I was saying on the phone. Or you said reverse, right? So he's only going back because the level of
Houston,
emotion,
you're okay.
the level of emotions Houston is feeling is so foreign to him right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever dealt with anybody who can't deal with new things, right? So, well, not a child, sorry. I mean, not a young a young adult. I mean, but right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's too much, so they have to leave, or they default to rage and joy, the two core motives. Houston, you're okay. Hi, silly boy. And then he's gonna look at us, right? You just say the same thing. Say, Houston, you're okay.
Houston, you're okay.
And then look at me and say it,
Houston, you're okay.
right? See how you watch me out of the corner of his eye, right, Phil? So
Yep.
you see that. You see that on the camera. So that's why he knows what's going on. And when people are like, "Oh, my dog's lazy. He sleeps all day." How many predators do you know that can be like that, right?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. You had some bad guy coming here. Boom, they're in
Houston, you're
trouble.
okay.
So that's just one of the things here at home. We give him the reset hug. Make sure he's standing. And when you give him the reset hug, you just want to put right, and then you hold him here. You can flat to the face or whichever, but do not move your hand in the beginning. Put your other hand underneath like he did. Make sure that he stands up. You can kneel down and everything like that, and you slowly say it. You keep him in a reset hug between 7 and 12 seconds.
So
he-
what would you do there? He was anxiety licking.
Exactly. Yeah. See, right. And it's not anxiety; it's immaturity. So what's happening is he's smelling comfortable smells. You know,
We usually tell-
I'm not trying to be weird, but you know
Yeah.
what? You know,
We
you know,
usually tell him to leave it.
just go over and touch him.
Hi.
So the yawning is a cognitive dissipation of highly complex emotive structures, and as he gets more and more used to those things, it
Houston,
won't be.
you're okay.
And then look at me and say it. Look at me and say it.
Houston, you're okay.
Slowly and gently.
Houston, you're okay.
There you go. And then when you stand up to say, Houston, you're okay, let go of him.
Houston, you're okay.
So what you're teaching him is his name and the phrasing in a different context, right? One is Houston, you're okay, and the next one is Houston, you're okay. So he has a higher and larger contextualization of what he's talking about and what you're talking about, so he starts to understand language better.
When do you do that? A reset hug.
Reset hugs are free.
Okay, so
you're-
anytime?
you're all the time, whenever
All-
you want, especially
okay.
in the beginning.
So it's not like when you come in or, you know, like,
Yeah, when you come in,
Yeah.
anytime.
That's
I
it.
do it
Anytime.
when we come in because then he stops jumping.
okay.
right? And even if you're just walking by him in the hallway in
And
the
he's
narrow
standing
area,
up.
just stop and go, here you go, give me a hug. And
Yeah.
you say that, and you say, Houston, give me a hug, and Houston, come here. And then you teach him recall. He goes, oh, that's right. Whenever I hear that phrasing, I get this. I don't need food, I get this.
Yeah.
And we all want love.
Yeah.
Most of us do.
Yeah.
So,
When I come home, he puts himself against me. I
excellent.
reach down and I grab him.
Yeah.
Now I will hug him now.
Yeah.
But then he tells me about his day. He sits there and
Aw.
whines at me like,
Oh, he does?
So the articulation is a level of intelligence, and if what you're saying under there, I'll be honest with you, you might want to start teaching him cogency games, not cognitive games, and we'll talk about that afterwards.
Okay.
To teach him that his intelligence is there, because when you're holding him, like you know how you do with Rory and all
Yeah.
that, your left arm, your right arm, your right leg, you put your feet in or whatever, the socks or whatever,
Yeah.
you know. When you're doing that to him, you're touching, you know, Houston's right leg and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're telling him, I understand that you are dimensional, that you have a full body.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's got different paws, and now we're naming it for him, just like we do with children. And he goes, oh, wow, this is who I am. And you build his self-esteem, self-worth, and self-confidence.
We do that when we walk. We tell him to go left or we tell him to go right. And he does.
Yeah. So what we'll do, let's take him outside,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because he has
Just